Hello and welcome to another Cocos Studio tutorial. In this part we're going to be looking at creating a project and an overview of the interface. We don't have a separate tutorial for setting up a project because it's really easy. First of all, you got to download Cocos Studio. Just go to cocos2dx.org. There'll be a link in the description to the download site. Go to download. Scroll down and you want to go to the far right where it says Cocos, and you can download a Windows version or a Mac version depending on your platform. And once you've downloaded this, it's just a regular executable. You just install it in the normal way as you would on your platform and you're all good to go. Hence we're not going to have another tutorial for it. So once you've got it installed, just open up Cocos. It also installs Cocos Studio as well as part of it, but we're just going to open up Cocos, which allows you to do a couple of cool things. Click new project, and if you've gone to the Cocos store and actually downloaded the Cocos 2DX or Cocos 2D.js framework, then what you can do is go to projects. You can click new project. You can do a complete project, which allows you to have a Cocos 2DX or Cocos 2D.js project, which is linked with your new Cocos Studio project. It does automatically links here, and you create a whole new project. So you provide a project name, a project path, a language, and this will depend whether you use Cocos 2DX or Cocos 2D.js, your orientation, and whether it supports x86 CPUs. But we're not going to be covering this. We're going to be covering a resource project, which just creates a Cocos Studio project because you can easily import it into your Cocos 2DX or Cocos 2D.js project. You just select your project name. I'm going to leave it as default, your path, and your orientation. Orientation at the moment doesn't really matter whether it's a complete project or a resource project, simply because you can easily change it. So click finished, creates it, and once it's done that, it opens up Cocos Studio. Let's just resize this so it fully fits on the screen. Got the rainbow wheel. There we go. Okay, let's cover the interface. On the left we have objects. We have basic objects like sprites, particles, tile maps, etc. This is sort of the meat of the game, what you'll probably be interacting with in the game screen. Then we have widgets, which you can think of as the UI of the game. So when you create your menus, you can mix and match, that doesn't matter, but this is generally how it will be used. So you got buttons, checkboxes, images, text fields. In custom at the moment there's just armature, which is animation, and then there's containers, which allow you to group objects together. So you got panels, scroll views, list views, page views. All of them are pretty self-explanatory, but there will be a separate video covering all of these objects. On the bottom left below the objects you have the resources section. This is your project, and then these are your files, the .csv. These are just Cocos Studio files. Any assets you import will also appear here. On the right you have your properties. There's nothing added, so let's just add a sprite, make sure it's selected, and then you can see all the properties that your sprite has, or your object, whatever you've selected. You have just a little thumbnail icon of the object, the name, tag. This is what you can get in code, like get name, get tag. Below that we have positioning and sizing. So we've got anchor point. This ranges from 0 to 1. We got position, and if you click this drop down, you can have it as a relative percentage of the parent container. So let's go back onto it. 362.5 pixels relative to its parent container, which is the scene at the moment, is the equivalent of 37.76%. You got the size, some pin and sizing options. You got general, so you got visible, scale, rotation, skew, opacity, color tint, flip. Then we have feature, and the feature is dependent on what object you've selected. A page view will have different features, a sprite will have different features, buttons will have different features. The rest of it will be the same though. We have an advanced tab, but there's not much in it at the moment. There's a frame event, but I'm sure once Cocos Studio gets updated and matures a bit more, we'll get more features. At the top we have the toolbar, so we got a play button. So if I click that, you just run our application in a simulator. Can't really do much with it. It's great just to see how it looks in a simulator, but beyond that you can't actually test stuff out. It's not a simulator to play a game. You'll need to do that in Xcode or Cocos Code IDE or Eclipse or something external. Then here we have a publish button, and this publishes our project. .csv files are published to .csv for Cocos 2dx, and for Cocos 2d.js they are published as .json format. If you were to do or create a complete project instead of a resource project, you'll have a second option. If you did Cocos 2dx, which is published to Xcode, which when clicked opens up Xcode and also publishes your Cocos Studio project. But if you did Cocos 2d.js, then you have a third option, which is published to Cocos Code IDE along with the published to Xcode. And if you click the Cocos Code IDE option, it opens up Cocos Code IDE and publishes your Cocos Studio project. Then here we have the design resolution. You can add a custom size as well, which is great. At the bottom we have our animation editor. So the scene is what we just selected here, this file, .csv file. Sprite 1 is the object that we added. All the objects that you add will appear here for that file. We can add keyframes, add some rotation, add some movement, so you can do some really cool animation. Then we've got the output here. And finally, what we're going to do is show you the main scene or the canvas area, which shows you the currently open and selected file from down here. And if you can zoom in and out, you can pan using the middle mouse button. You can also zoom in and out using the slider at the bottom here. Let's zoom in a second. We have our object. The black area is the design resolution size. If your object is, just move the anchor point, that doesn't matter. So if we go to base, as you can see the anchor point has changed, but it doesn't matter because we're not really going to be using this object. If I move it outside of here and I click play, you don't see anything because it's outside of the design resolution. But if I move it back on or halfway, click play again, as you can see part of the sprite. So that's the best way to think of this black area. Is the design resolution, which is visible. Anything in the checkered area isn't visible. But you may want to put something in the checkered area because you want the scene to open up and you want your object to fade in and also move in, some sort of cool animation. So that's it, covering creating a project in Cocos Studio and a brief overview of the interface. If you have any questions, feel free to post them at sonarlearning.co.uk/questions.php. There'll be a link in the description, so you don't worry, you won't have to remember that. And as usual, thank you for watching and I hope you have a great day.